my artworks. This is my beginning artworks I have drawn is many years ago. For example, this is a Lamborghini, the hypercar. I drew it in 2024 and I was a beginner. You can see the art. This is a grey color Lamborghini. There is not much more detailing, but it looks like a hypercar. You can see here. This is an Lamborghini artwork in 3D. I was a beginner on that time. Now, this is the Mr. UCL, Cristiano Ronaldo. You can see here there is a much more detailing and lightning effects. You can see Cristiano Ronaldo. I also added a shadow in the back because it can look hyper realistic and 3D. You can see the detailing. This is an iPhone, a box of iPhone. This is an 3D art, a hyper art. I also added here shadow but in dark because the box feels like a hyper realistic. You can see. You can see here the detailing, the darkness, the lightness in the box. You can see. And this is a charger, a mobile charger. I also added here shadow because shadow is the most important for a 3D drawing. This is also look like 3D. You can see. Now this is an cherry cake. I drawed it 2 years ago. Also I have added here a flat shadow because it can look much more hyper realistic. You can see the lightning effect on cream. It looks very awesome and hyper realistic. You can see much more detailing in that. The lightning effects are the much more important and the darker effects, the shadows. These are my some charcoal effect drawings. You can see here. This is a dog. You can see the darkness, lightness inside. Very realistic. This is our God. You can see the darkness, the lightning very smoothly blending. You can see here. And this is Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. You can see the blending, the charcoal blending. You can also see on the faces on here. You can see on here also the darkness. This is an cyber truck. Also I have drawn the shadow because it can look hyper realistic. You can see the darkness of the detailing. The darkness is the much more important in the art. You can see here the darkness. Tesla. This is a Mahindra Thar. I have drawn in 2023. On that time I was an beginner. You can see this is not much more realistic because I have not added shadow. Shadow is the much more important in drawing. Now I will show you my hyper realistic drawings. Let's go. These are my some latest drawings. You can see this is Hanumanji. You can see the skin texture also. I have done much more blending with skin color and white color. And also I have added some black color because the shadow is important to get reflect with light. You can see here. This is an screwdriver. Also I have added here a big shadow because it looks 3D and hyper realistic. You can see the shadow. This is looks like real. This is our god. You can see the skin structures also. Also you can see the dress structure. How the blending I have done here on the skin or here. This is a remote cell you can see every day. It's look hyper realistic because I have added shadow, the lightning. The lightning effect is the much more important in the drawing. You can see I try to catch it, but this is a drawing. And this look much more realistic. The matchbox. You can see the shadow on the upper words because it looks very hyper realistic. Also you can see the detailing. Also I have done one small structure on the art. You can see the darkness, you can see the highlights. This is a matchbox, very hyper realistic and very cool. This is an sharpener. You can see I have added a dark shadow because to look much more realistic. Whenever we add dark shadows, the things look real. You can see the things look much more real. The blending is much more important to make a drawing look like real. This isn't at all. You can see the lightness is much more. Also in the shadow it reflects. So I have added some color and some graphite to make a shadow like original. You can see this, the texture. You can also see the texture, green structure, black structure. These are my one of the some earbuds drawing. These are the earbuds of Boat company and these are the earbuds of Realme company. You can watch that. Just see the drawings. This is the earbuds of Boat company and this is the Realme. You can see the effect of shadows. Because of shadow, it looks much more realistic. And also this from the darkness and lightness. You can see the structure here. You can see from that it looks very realistic and hyper realistic. This is an company of tea. This is the packet of HP tea I have made in 2024. You can see here that this also looks much more realistic because I have added here downer part like a shadow and also I have done smooth structure. You can see this is the drawing of Cristiano Ronaldo. I have drawn Cristiano Ronaldo for second time on this A3 size page. This is not much more realistic and not much more perfectly, but I have done and I have given my best in that drawing. I was that time a beginner, so I have drawn it like this. Now, these are my one of the favorite art, the Goku. You can see the skin structure on small parts like neck part. You can see the darkness and skin texture. Also you can see the chest part. Here I have done lightness and here I have done darkness. Also in the cloth, here I have done darkness and here I have done lightness. The lightness and the darkness is the much more important in the art. You should focus on the lightness and darkness because to make your art hyper realistic. You can see the skin texture, the emotions of his. That's why this enemy looks very hyper realistic, very cool. You can see this is the Goku. These are my some car drawings, and these are my much more favorite drawings. This is an Mustang. I have drawn it in 28 2024. You can see the lightning effect, the darker effects, and one the detail of the car. You can also see the small detailing. You can see here, you can see in the mirror, you can see here on the logo, on the number plate, on the wheel, on the lightning, on the wheel. You can see here. This car took me around 1 week to draw. This was much more hyper realistic because I have added shadow. You can see the car looks much more realistic. Now this is Ninja H2R, a super bike. I have drawn it on 16/8/2024. This also looks like very hyper realistic. You can see the one and one texture of and the bike. You can see it. The one and one single thing I have drawn on this bike. You can see the headlights, you can see the mirror, you can see the handle, you can see the bonnet, you can see the engine. The one and one thing is much more realistic in this drawing. Also, I have added a plain shadow, a much more flat shadow to make it hyper realistic. You can see the one and one detailing I have added. This took me around 3 weeks to draw. I draw every day around 3 hours. It took me much more longer. And this is a hyper super car. You can see the one and one part. You can see the small and small detailing. So it looks much hyper realistic, much cool, and much super. You can see. Now this is an bus. You can see it. I draw it in a red color. You can see the one and one mirror I have drawn in this bus. Also, I have added a flat shadow with some gap. I have kept here gap because to look like it have standed on the paper. It have parked on a paper. You can see the bonnet. I have drawn a bonnet bigger because it looks like horizontal goes back and comes here door. You can see the one and one thing I have drawn, so it looks hyper realistic. You can see the also the wheel, the darkness in the wheel. You can also see the structure. I have drawn one and one thing, the darkness, the lightness is everywhere. The lightness is much more important. The bus. This is my one of the greatest and favorite artwork, Lamborghini, the hyper car. You can see the darkness I have added here. You can see the darkness, the glowing effect. Here are the some glowing effect, the shining effect you can see here. You can see in the mirror. You can see here. You can see here. This makes it hyper realistic and very cool. The wheel you can see. This is much more realistic, and also you can see the texture of color. Also you can see this texture of color because it is much more hyper realistic. You can see this. And now forward or truck, you can see I have made the bonnet bigger because to look like a hyper car standing on a paper. You can see the darkness, the lightness, all the structure are mixed. It has been jumbled. You can see I have drawn a single thing. Like you can see observe on the tire wheels. You can see here how I have added one and one small thing. Even I have added on upper parts also the lightning, the darkness. You can see here is a darkness and upside is a lightness. The jumbleness makes very difficult to draw. But also you can see here the much more other colors. So this looks like hyper realist. Also you can see the shadow. I have made here darker shadow and here some light shadow. Also here I have repeat the same process. On down on upper side I have done the dark and on the lower side I have make the faint. So it looks like much more realistic. This is the company Ford who makes trucks like this and which looks very cool. This is the drawing of Lamborghini. You can see how it looks very realistic. I have added one and one details of the car. You can see here the lightning goes from the mirror. It looks very realistic. The darkness and lightness is much more important in every 3D drawing, and I have drawn air shadow very darker. Also you can see the bonnet downer part. It looks like much more hyper realistic. Also you can see the wheel detailing, how it looks. Also you can see the darkness of the car. Here it is darkness and here it is lightness. It looks much more realistic. See here, that much part is looks much more realistic. And the wheel is the important because it have more textures. You can see here. You can see here have much more textures. So it looks very hyper realistic. The hyper realistic car, very cool car with the 3D drawing. You can see the shadow makes it perfectly. You can see it looks perfect car, a 3D hyper realistic drawing. Now let's go to the Formula One Ferrari. I drew it for Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc. The Ferrari is the one of the best team in F1. Also you can see the car detailing from darkness to lightness. From downward I have added darkness, for upward this is lightness. I have drawn a single brand name in the car. You can watch here one and one brand I have drawn on here which would collaborate with Ferrari. This is the logo of Ferrari. You can see the darkness of here. You can see the engine. It's very cool. Also you can watch here. It's very realistic. You can watch here. And also the engine has much more from here darkness and upper side whiteness. You can see you can see the efforts. This looks much more realistic and I have added much more darkness because this is a photo of Ferrari which is shooted on studio. On studio, many lights focus on upper parts, but downer parts get shadows and darker. So I have done it darker and lighter also. You can see the four wheels on here. One, two, three, four. I can also hide the back two wheels, but it not looks much more hyper realistic. So I have added the back two wheels also because it can look much more realistic and hyper realistic. The car is the one of the most famous car. Now that's the G Wagon in the blue color. G Wagon is the one of the best Mercedes car that have ever he made. G Wagon I have drawn in blue color. Also you can see the darkness on window, somewhere lightness, and the perfect wheel I have ever drawn. You can see here the perfect wheel I have ever drawn. You can see also the logo, and also I have added here shadow horizontally. You can see here these are added like a horizontally. Also this will not get much more effort because it was covered with a dark shadow, because this is only black color, but these two wheels gets much more efforts. You can see the detailings on there. See the detailing on the wheels. So it looks much more realistic and hyper realistic. And this is the one of the my favorite car drawing. This is the drawing of US dollar, the money. This is very important drawing for me and you. This is important in our life. Focus on this. This is much more important to live on earth. I have drawn it because I am the big fan of money. This is an 100 rupees dollar notes. You can see the detailing here. The notes, the drawing looks very hyper realistic because of lightness. You can see here the lightness. The lightness is the much more important in the drawing. You can see the darkness is much more important for drawing. Also I have here added a small shadow line to make it very hyper realistic. Also I have added a single number on the note, on the detail. Also I have bended it from here to look big and to look here small because it's look very hyper realistic. You can see here this is a drawing. This is an Indian currency, 50 rupees. I have drawn it on 17/7/2024. This was much more realistic, looks much more realistic, and this is a folded money. This is an Indian currency. You can see here the texture. This is much important in our life. I have drawn it for 15 days because it took me long time because of the texture, the detailing. The detailing is much more important for the drawing. You can see the one and one detail I have drawn in drawing. This looks very realistic, and there is shadow. You can look how it bends from here. The shadow, I have added the two shadows, one here and one here, because note have been folded. This is the 50 rupees drawing, which looks very hyper realistic and much more detailing. This is an 200 rupees drawing of Indian currency. This is also much more important in our life, and this looks very cool. You can see here the detailing, the structure of the art. You can see here one thing I have drawn. A single number hits different. This is much more important. The lightness, the darkness, and the colorness makes your drawing very hyper realistic. You can see here the detailing I have done in my every artwork. This art took me around 30 days, a month. I have drawn it on 14/7/2024. This was much more realistic than I thought. You can see the darkness of fold. You can see here the darkness, also here, also here. This make your drawing realistic, look like a real thing. This is also a 50 rupees drawing. You can see here this note took me around 13 days because there is much more fold and darkness on the drawing. You can see the darkness here, also here, also here. You can see there is a much more darkness in the drawing. This drawing looks very hyper realistic. Also, there is a much more structure. You can see this artwork looks very realistic because there is a much more darkness than the lightness. It looks very realistic. This is an art of a clock, the watch. You can see the detailing on the clock is looks like real. The detailing you can see. The lightness is much more in that drawing. You can see how the lightness is more in that drawing. And also I have added here a shadow from the darkness to the lightness. Here is the darkness and this line down the line is the lightness. This looks much more real. You can see this drawing took me around 3 days to draw. Also you can see here the watch bends and it's look like realistic. From here the watch bends and also here the watch bends. My next drawing is my one of the favorite character, Spider-Man, Tom Holland. You can see this looks much more realistic. You can see the darkness, the shadow effect on his body, on his stomach, and also you can see the shadow effect on his face. Also, I have added much more detailings. You can see the single line of on his suit. Also, you can see his dress, his book, his bag, his hands, his jacket looks much more realistic. I have drawn this for Spider-Man Brand New Day, which is releasing on 31st July. I am very excited to watch this, and this is my one of the favorite character in Marvel. This character makes the perfect role for the Spider-Man Tom Holland. This looks much more realistic. This is the one of the best Marvel character. Also, I like is Iron Man. This drawing took me around 15 days because you can see the detailing on this, and this drawing has much more darkness than I thought. You can see the darkness from here. The darkness is much more the goat of Marvel. You can see also on the helmet the much more gold darkness here, and you can see the detailing, one and one detailing. The detailing is so goated. You can see the darkness, the lightness. This makes your drawing very look like realistic. This is also my one of the favorite artwork. This is a Brazilian football, Neymar Jr. I draw this from PSG. The Neymar is the one of the favorite player of football, one of the goated player of the football. This was drawn from me on 2025. This is much more better drawing. You can see the lightness on left side, how this lightness makes the professional photo shoot like a drawing, and also currently darkness. You can see the darkness on his neck, on his shirt, on his braid, on his lips. You can see the single thing you can notice which is much more detailed. The Neymar Jr. has last World Cup 2026, so I have drawn this for Neymar Jr. This is my one of the favorite art I have ever drawn. This is Cristiano Ronaldo. This is my one of the favorite Ronaldo artwork I have ever drawn. This drawing took me around 1.5 months. 1.5 months because this drawing took me much more detailings on hair. This drawing took me much more detailings, and I have done my everything best to draw this. You can see the detailings on eyes, on his neck, on shirt. This is the drawing of Club Juventus, and he is much more better on the drawing. He have won 5 Ballon d'Ors. He have won Nations League, 2 Nations League. He have 5 UCLs, and also he known as Mr. UCL. And he is my one of the favorite player. He is the greatest of all time in club, in football, in FIFA World Cup also. And also Ronaldo is completing his 1000 goals. So I have drawn this. You can look the hair structure, bro. You can look it, see the eyes. You can look. This is much more better than I thought. This is my one of the best art I have ever drawn. This is best artwork. And also this player is not just a player. This is an emotion. So I have drawn it. You can see the texture, bro. My next drawing is of a water jug. This took me around 1 month because you can see the single line have much more details. You can see I have added here also detail. You can see there has much more details. So it took me 1 month. You can see how much detail I have added on this one single detail, the darkness, the lightness, one single detail took me much more effort. This is my one of the best steel effect drawing, and I also like to draw the steel effects drawing. And also I have added a shadow flat upper side horizontally, which looks much more better to make a art to convert into 3D art. It looks much more better, looks like a hyper realistic. This is a cold drink. The brand Thumbs Up. This is an can of cold drink Thumbs Up. I have bought it for 70 rupees and I have scrapped it and drawn it. You can see it looks very realistic. It looks like very hyper realistic. You can see the detailing. You can see the single detailing of it. Here you can see the darkness, also here, and also you can see the lightness much more. You can see the lightness here. The single thing to much more efforts. This is what the hyper realistic drawing looks. This is my one of the favorite still effect arts of all time. This looks like you have bought a can, scrapped it, and kept on the paper, but it's not real. It's drawing. You can see this looks much more better. And now it's time to show you another drawing, which is MS Dhoni, the greatest of all time in the cricket. Bro has all the trophies: a ODI World Cup, a T20 World Cup, a Champions League, Test match, 5 IPL trophies, more, etc. Bro has one of the most famous player. Also, he have a record of highest decibel sound. You can't believe it is 149 decibels. When he comes on ground, the ground cheers. You can see the lightning effect on his face from left to right, also on his hair. It make his like it photo shooted on a studio. Also there is a much more darkness. This is the coolest drawing of a cricketer I have ever drawn. This is much more famous. Also, MS Dhoni is the one of the greatest player in the history of cricket. You can see also the his t-shirt. This is much more darker. So here no highlights comes, but sometimes the light focus on your shoulder. So there you can come the lightness. MS Dhoni, one of the greatest players. This is the artwork of a watch. This is the one of the favorite artworks of my steel effect. I have over 4 to 5 steel effect artworks, and these are my one of the favorite. You can see this. The watch is the best. You can see the detailings, the darker and the lightness is much more important to make your art hyper realistic. You can see the lightness, the one and one detail on the art is based on its photo shoot. You have to click the photo like a 3D. Also, I will add some the lightning on this art. You can see the lightning effect on this art. This art has much popular on Insta and YouTube channel. You can see the detailings on it is very popular. This art has much more done, and you can see the detailings also on this art is much more. My next artwork is earbuds. This is an Realme earbuds company. You can see the earbuds, the reflection on the earbuds, the upper part. This is the button of the upper parts of the birds, and you can see the reflection on it. These are some reflections which I have drawn very smoothly. You can see the detailing. You can see the detailing is much more I have showed. Also, there is a much more darkness. You can see here, and my last drawing is a telephone. This is a telephone artwork which is very old phone. I have drawn it on 25/4/2024. This is much more realistic. Also, you can see the darkness in the buttons. The darkness in the buttons. You can look here. Also, you can look here the darkness, which looks much more realistic. This make the artwork realistic. So these were my one of the favorite artworks. On the next video, I will taught you some realistic photo shoots for how to draw 3D artwork. So subscribe for now.